Today's video, we're going to be reinstalling the head on this International 484. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be working on the 484. So I got the head back from the machine shop. Everything was pretty good besides the exhaust valves. We needed to replace them, so we went ahead and replaced them. They were in pretty bad shape. We put new injector cups in, and the rest of the head looked pretty good. So I went ahead and got everything cleaned up, all the parts we need to put this thing back together. I got the block all nice and shined up, clean. I worked on that for probably 2 hours. I had a bunch of old gasket material that was really hard to get off, but I got it really good and clean. Actually pulled this tractor out the other day and pressure washed all the dirt and grime off of it. That way we don't have to worry about anything falling down in the engine while we're putting the head back together and everything. I also got all the parts cleaned up, valve covers, intake, everything should be ready to go. Went ahead and picked up an A&I head gasket kit for this tractor. Heard good things about it, so we're gonna try that out. Got all new head bolts because the head bolts were pretty rough shape. I actually got these from the dealer. They were actually half the price at the dealer than I could find them online, so a little hard to believe, but if you're all looking for some head bolts, check out your dealer. Got all the bolts ready to go, all cleaned up. I chased all the threads in the block for the head bolts because they were all rusted and grimy, so we should be good to go there. So let's go ahead and open up the gasket kit here. These are all for the injectors, O-rings and whatnot. Could have manifold gaskets. That's another manifold gasket. Our intake and coolant tube gaskets all there. Valve cover gasket. And our head gasket. So everything you need to put this thing back together. Not waste any time, let's go ahead and get this head on here. The gasket only goes on one way, just like so. I think it's just a little heavy. Get it down on the dowels there. All right, we got her laid down on there. Looks good. Looks like the best way to put it on is from this side. I went ahead and just grabbed the valve springs, manhandled it. But if you got somebody to help you, you could probably do it a little easier. You just want to kind of set it down straight on there, and that way you don't mess up the gasket. You can see we're down on there. Now we can go ahead and throw the head bolts in here. Like I said, I picked up these head bolts from the dealer. They were actually half the price of finding them online. So if you're looking for head bolts for these tractors, check your local Case IH dealer. There's 2 different lengths. The outside 6 are the shorter ones, and the should be 8 longer ones that go in the middle. And always just add a little oil to the threads there. All right, I got all the head bolts in, I got them snug. Now we got to torque them down. It's a 3-step process, and I'll put some diagrams up of the torque sequence and the torque specs. The torque specs are 30, 60, and 110 foot-pounds in a 3-step process. I'll go ahead and get these torqued down, and I'll have those diagrams up above while I'm doing it. All right, I got the first 2 steps down. Now we got to go to the third and final step at 110 foot-pounds. Remember, just take your time when you're doing these. You don't want to get in a hurry. All right, that should do it. I always like to go back and check. Sometimes loosen up a hair. I got it all torqued down. Everything looks good, torqued good. So we'll go ahead and put our push rods back in here and our rocker assembly. All right, I went ahead and put the studs in. Now we can throw the push rods back in. I got them all labeled here. That way I know exactly where they go. Make sure you get them on the lifter good. They almost suck to that lifter. You can actually almost pull that lifter out. Okay, got them all in there. Throw this assembly back here on. Get to get our push rods lined up as we go down. Our nuts put on here. Alright guys, I got this all bolted down, torqued down. The torque spec on these are 47 foot-pounds. You just gotta take your time putting them down on there because, you know, there can be compressing the springs while you're doing that. My book says the valve lash should be 12 thousandths on these valves. I got my feeler gauge here and you can tell they are pretty well off. I mean, they're probably double of that, but we need to check that with a warm engine before I go adjusting on those. But we're definitely gonna have to adjust them after we get it running, let it heat up, and then we'll take the valve cover back off and readjust those valves. And if you don't have a service manual, I picked this one up on Amazon. I'll link that down below. This is all about the engines on this tractor. This has been real handy. If you need one of these, go check that out and I'll link it down below in the description. All right, let's work on getting the intake manifold back on. It comes with paper gaskets. I like to use a little bit of spray adhesive to coat these gaskets. That way we don't have to worry about you're not getting a good seal. All you need is a little mist on both sides of that gasket. Kind of let it sit up for a second. Flip this over, coat this side. Just gives you a little extra seal there. And then we can go ahead and throw the manifold on the head here. This makes it a little easier, especially when that gasket's already sticking where it needs to be. Alright, got them all started and I'll go ahead and get them bolted down. Hey guys, if you're getting some value out of this video, go ahead and hit that like button down below and consider subscribing to the channel. Alright, I torqued down the intake manifold, went ahead and put the injectors back in, hooked up the injector lines here, and I went ahead and put new hose here for the return line for the fuel. So we should be done with this side of the engine. We can throw our crossover tube here, coolant crossover tube on. If you can kind of see, this thing has been deteriorating pretty bad. There really ain't much surface left on that corner, so I'm gonna use some RTV sealant along with the gaskets. I'll make sure we get a good seal on this thing. Just using some black RTV on this. Really don't need much, but I'm gonna put a little more here where there ain't much left of this tube here. I'm gonna go put a little bit on the back side of this gasket too. Go ahead and do the same on the other side. All right, I got that crossover all tightened down. Went ahead and hooked up to all the radiator hoses while I was at it. Changed the oil in it. So all we really need to do is throw the exhaust manifold back on and the valve cover, and we should be able to try to start this tractor. All right, I got the manifold tightened down, got the valve cover on. I think all we have to do is add some coolant, then we'll try to start it up. Oh no, we have a leak somewhere. Drain plug was not tight. Always check your drain plug. Rookie mistake there. All right, got the coolant all topped off. Only leak that I seen was the one that from the drain valve there that I forgot to tighten. Everything else looks good to go. All the hoses, no leaks or nothing. Well, that's a good sign so far. Go ahead and crank it, see if we can get it to fire. I'll probably have to loosen up some of the injection lines there, get some fuel up there. Yeah, it looks like we're getting a little bit of smoke. Might go ahead and fire on us. Go ahead and pull it outside. See if I can find the muffler. It's so loud, straight pipe, it's hard to hear the engine. Like the fan might be hitting the shroud. Got a loose line here. right, guys, I let it run for about 15 minutes or so. Everything looks pretty good. Wasn't blowing any hoses off like before. Switched out the head gasket. It was definitely the problem. They wouldn't last 2 minutes on there before, so good deal. Got a little oil leak coming out of the valve cover. These stupid cork gaskets, but I'm gonna be adjusting the valves on it anyway, so I'll be pulling that off, and I'll probably put some RTV on that gasket. That way we don't have that leak next time. But yeah, sounds good. The shroud on the fan needs a little adjusting because it was fans hitting the shroud. You can probably hear it in the video. Definitely you can hear need a little adjustment in the valves, but that's no big deal. So that's all there is really to putting a head gasket on one of these tractors. Pretty simple. Main thing is just get everything really good and clean, and you shouldn't have a problem. So if you guys got any value out of this video, go ahead and hit that like button down below. Consider subscribing to the channel. I'll probably be making another video on this tractor, how to adjust the valves, so keep an eye out for that. But that's going to do it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later.